Imagine a disease that can set up camp inside your body, quietly building its forces for years, all while you look and feel perfectly healthy. Well, that's pretty much the reality for millions of people with rheumatoid arthritis. Today, we're going to dive into some fascinating new research that's starting to pick up on the hidden signals of this immune system betrayal, long before the first joint even starts to ache. And this really gets to the heart of a massive scientific quest. If you can see the storm clouds gathering years in advance, can you actually stop the storm from ever hitting? That's the huge mystery we're exploring today. Okay, so first, let's just get on the same page. Rheumatoid arthritis, or RA for short, is an autoimmune condition. In a nutshell, it means your own immune system gets confused. It starts attacking the healthy lining of your joints, and that leads to all the painful inflammation and damage the disease is known for. And listen, the stakes here are incredibly high. As Dr. Kevin Dean from the University of Colorado says, once those symptoms show up, it's usually a lifelong condition. You're looking at treatments for life. So this isn't just about managing pain, it's about trying to prevent irreversible damage, which is exactly why catching it early is the holy grail. For years now, scientists have been following this one major clue, kind of like detectives on a tough case. But as you're about to see, this clue ended up raising way more questions than it answered. And that clue? It's the presence of these specific proteins in your blood called autoantibodies. You might hear them called things like ACPA or RF. Just think of them as these tiny biological alarm bells, a signal that the immune system has started to go rogue and is attacking the body's own stuff. And here's the wild part. These alarm bells can start ringing incredibly early. We're talking 3 to 5 years before a person feels any joint pain or sees any swelling. Their bodies are sending out these warning flares while they're just going about their daily lives, completely unaware.
Okay, but here is the big problem. While 100% of these at-risk people have these autoantibodies in their blood, it turns out that only about 30 to 60% of them will ever actually develop RA. The rest just don't. So that warning sign, it's way, way too broad.
Which, of course, leads to the absolute million-dollar question. How in the world can you tell the difference? How do you separate the people who are just carrying these biological alarms from the ones who are on a collision course with the disease? To figure that out, a new study launched a much deeper investigation. They decided to look beyond just those antibodies and see what the entire immune system was actually doing. The setup was really pretty simple, but it was powerful. Researchers followed a group of these at-risk folks for years. They then compared the immune systems of the people who eventually got RA, they called them converters, with the ones who didn't, the non-converters, and of course, a healthy control group. And right out of the gate, they hit a total curveball. It turns out that all of the at-risk individuals, both the ones who would get sick and the ones who wouldn't, showed signs of widespread inflammation. Their immune systems were already on high alert, which actually made it even harder to tell the two groups apart at first. As one of the researchers, Dr. Mark Gillespie, pointed out, this is a pretty profound idea. Even when these people look and feel totally fine, on the inside, their immune systems are in a completely different state. There's already a hidden battle going on. So, if general inflammation wasn't the answer, what was? Well, the researchers kept digging, and eventually they found it. They found the specific cellular signal that acts as the tipping point, that moment the immune system truly commits to the attack. Okay, so here's the breakthrough. While both at-risk groups had that general inflammation, only the people who would later develop RA, the converters, showed a very specific change as time went on. Their B and T cells, which are kind of like the special forces of the immune system, started to activate in this coordinated, aggressive way. And you can see this chain reaction right here. First, brand new T cells get wired up for a harmful response. Then, specific helper T cells get the signal to activate and they start multiplying. Next, these T cells basically order the B cells to go into attack mode. And finally, those activated B cells start churning out the destructive autoantibodies that go after the joints. That specific cascade, that coordinated activation of B and T cells, that's the smoking gun. It's the definitive signal that separates someone who is just at risk from someone who is actively on the path to getting sick. You know, cracking this code is so much more than just a cool scientific finding. It opens up a whole new world for how we might be able to treat and maybe even prevent rheumatoid arthritis.
So, what does this all mean, really? Well, for one, it gives us a much more accurate way to predict who's actually going to get sick. Two, it pinpoints the exact cells, those B and T cells that could be targeted with new preemptive medicines. And best of all, it offers this incredible hope for treatments that could step in and reset the immune system before a single joint is ever damaged.
And that leaves us with a truly powerful thought, doesn't it? If we can now see the precise cellular fingerprints of a disease forming years before it ever shows up, could we, one day, make sure it never arrives at all?